if you go to like a place where, like if you take a bunch of different Europeans and move them to, say, China, I don't think the Chinese people would really tell the difference. I mean, we were talking about whether or not you can tell the difference between like a person from Hong Kong versus China versus Taiwan. Oh man, I'm just thinking, if you take an Irish person and a Scottish person and you put them in China, I don't think anyone would tell the difference between them. And of course, if you're Irish or Scottish, you'd be, I mean, like, to find that notion curious, at least. I mean, okay, Wesley, if you make sure they dress properly, then yes. Fox says, as someone who lives in Europe, I couldn't tell the difference for Europeans without listening to accents. Even then, couldn't be certain where from, says Fox. Yeah, like it's. I mean, of course, it's all a trick question because there's degrees of difference, right? I mean, it's not just a matter of same or different. It's like a scale, like how different you are varies. One, two, three, four. Let's put that there and there. I guess we should just make all of this glass. But anyway, what I was saying earlier, Q, is that, I mean, despite the various differences in opinions between people from China and Taiwan and Hong Kong, for example, maybe, like, it's not really that important. Especially if you're like me and you've migrated to a different country. Maybe you should just like, maybe we should just like leave that stuff behind and not worry about it so much anymore. The analogy being like if a Scottish person and an Irish person was living in China, they would find themselves to have more things in common, right, than with the Chinese. And so whatever differences, you know, you imagine you have before, Q says, who was worrying? What was this in reference to? Something in the news. No, this is just me talking. What was I talking about, Wesley? Oh, like people's opinions on migrants and migrants' opinions as well. Oh, I was saying the people who are against migrants and against refugees are the people who never imagined that they might one day be migrants or refugees themselves. Anyway, and then that transitioned into opinions about migrants and the opinions of migrants. One, two, three, four, five, six. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cause you know, like some people, some like Chinese people who move to small towns in New Zealand, for example, like they see so few other Chinese people that they would just be really happy just to see someone who can speak Mandarin, so they can like speak it again for a little while, and then they won't even care if it's whether they're Taiwanese or Chinese, or if like someone from Hong Kong who speaks bad Mandarin because the accents are all wrong. Like they don't even care about that stuff anymore. They just want to like hang out and chat for a while. And so I think like when you remove yourself from the familiarity, then you really start to appreciate more the things you have in common. I don't know if I'm like really saying this clearly. Like, you know, I was saying like people in Hong Kong discriminate against people from mainland China a little bit because of you know, the history of the fact that people left mainland China to go to Hong Kong, and like that discrimination is like, I don't know, like after, I mean, I've lived in New Zealand for like 30 years or so, maybe not quite 30, but a few decades, and it's like, well, I mean, like just all those differences doesn't matter, man. Just we're just people. You gotta let that go sometime. You can't carry this baggage with you your whole life. Let's close that up. Hey, here's an idea. What if, as part of our basic education, we have compulsory exchange years to foreign countries? Wouldn't that be good, Q? Wesley? Imagine if part of like your high school education, everybody has to like go to a different country for a year. Like a exchange school. Actually, do Europeans do that? Wesley says we already have it kinda, only you don't have to. You don't have to? Who pays? Do you pay for yourself, or does the government pay? Q says fascism is cured by reading and racism is cured by traveling. Yeah, no, I agree, Q. No idea. I think the important part is who pays, Wesley, because if everybody has to pay for themselves, then nobody can afford it. I'm thinking like the government pays for everyone to spend a year studying abroad. Because at the moment, especially I guess where I am, studying abroad is like a real privilege, because you have to spend a lot of money to study abroad. Yeah, Q. So like, let's say we agree that racism is cured by traveling. Then it seems to me to be a social good if we just have public travel funds. Am I being crazy here, or is that a cool idea? Like, for the sake of the public good, everybody travel. I feel like that's a good idea. Is that meant to be like that? I don't even know. Oh, imagine if everyone in small town America spends a year studying abroad. What if all of America wasn't racist anymore? And then they wouldn't have elected Trump. I'm just saying, guys. I think it's a good idea. I mean, how much would it cost? Do you think it would cost? It's probably less than $1 trillion, right? Hold on, how much does it cost? Because they just give $1 trillion tax cuts to billionaires all the time. What if instead of a tax cut, and look, if you have like international agreements between countries, that is not really that expensive, because sure, you have to go overseas, but somebody from overseas goes to your country, and so it's not like you have to, like, I don't know, pay for extra education spaces or anything, because like you're just kind of swapping students. Q says, I don't think the issue is racism per se, it's a fear worry that their way of life is changing, and looking at people who look different is easy way. No, but it's the fear of difference, Q. Like if you travel enough, then you stop being scared of the difference, because it's no longer unfamiliar to you, right? I mean, I'm not scared of Hong Kong because I know Hong Kong. Like maybe some people are like, I don't know, worried about big cities. Q says, same feeling to a lesser extent is why you like talking to someone who speaks your language in a different country in your previous example. I think that's more nostalgia, Q. What I'm talking about there. Because I'm talking about people who've like lived in small town New Zealand for decades. It's not a fear of the difference. It's like, I think nostalgia is okay. Nothing that troubling about nostalgia. But you know, if people from the small town also, some of them had visited China before, then maybe the guy who lived there wouldn't be so so nostalgic, you know what I mean? Like if everybody has traveled, then maybe somebody else in the small town would understand what it's like to be in China. Are we done? I think we're... Wait, are we done? There's still the regional link to loop 2. And also, do we need to like test to see whether we broke anything? It's a pretty high chance that we did break something. Let me like find the regional loop or something and just have a check of the circuitry. I'm like super scared that we broke something and we don't know about it. Maybe I should just get on a card and check. Or let me get on the card and check. Alright, where are we going? So this is 3-2. Let's go to 3-1. Oh, this doesn't actually check anything because we take a shortcut. Hey, there's a shortcut here. Alright, we need to we need to go to 3-1 from somewhere else. Alright, 3-5, 3-3, and then 3-1. What I'm thinking, Q, is that the ability to travel is a bit of a privilege because it costs money. And in principle, I am against all forms of privilege. And so that's why I think we should have publicly funded travel and experience of other cultures. Alright, wait, 3-5, 3-5, 3-3, 3-1, right? 3-5. Q says, I wish they'd fix that powered rail issue. It's a shame you can't get proper even get power even along diagonal rail lines. Proper even long diagonal rail lines, yeah. They just need to add diagonal power rails. Q says that's what the Peace Corps etc. are for supposedly. UK had that too to a lesser extent. How accessible is the Peace Corps? Does it get enough funding? I doubt it gets enough funding, to be honest. So a lot of countries have subsidized tertiary education, right? In New Zealand, we just the new government is going to put in free university for the first 3 years. And I'm just thinking we just extend that to have also an exchange tour. Q says the CIA kind of broke it recently. The operatives were found to use it, if I recall, ruin its reputation permanently, in my opinion. Well, I mean, probably. I haven't been paying too much attention, but yes, it sounds like the kind of thing the CIA would do. Okay, this is broken because I'm meant to go to 3-5 and I went to here instead. We did indeed break the circuitry. Let me see what's going on. Three, 5. Pass forward. 3, 5. Alright, good. Alright, good. Cosmetic part is done, says Wesley. The next thing would be the regional link. 3, 5. Let me try and make sure we didn't break anything. Actually, what's going on here? Oh, there's no 5. Oh no, that's 5 there, okay. 5.